Does a finished basement increase your home value? Find out in this episode.
Turn up, let's go.
Welcome everyone to this episode of the Ask Jason Gelios Show. I'm your host, Michigan Realtor Jason Gelios. I really appreciate you guys tuning in here. If you are new to this show, I welcome you to subscribe, whether you're on YouTube or follow on Facebook, or go to my main hub for all my videos and packed information that I share every week, sometimes twice a week, actually, depending on the content. You can go to it'sallabouttherealestate.com and also sign up for my monthly newsletter, which is, again, packed with more valuable information and tips. Now, we're going to dive into whether or not a finished basement provides value. And, you know, this is such a weird topic, and I'll tell you why. Because some agents that I talk with state that it doesn't provide value, and others state, yeah, of course it increases value, right? Now, I put together some tips here, so let's go ahead and dive right into this. The main question that I got last week, actually, although it's not the first time, is, will finishing my basement add value to my home? And the short answer is, well, yes. If it's done right, though. And what do I mean by done right? Well, if you finish a basement and it doesn't look good, the layout doesn't work well for the average person, right? It doesn't appeal to most people. Let's say it's quite eccentric, it's set up weird. That can be a huge turnoff because a home buyer is not going to want to tear out a basement and redo it. If they do, it's rare. You're not going to get the large group of home buyers looking at your house that are saying, wow, you know, I want to go ahead and basically demo this basement and redo it. So most people won't do that. So if your basement is done right, if it's finished right, it will add value. Now, that doesn't mean that you should finish the basement if you're looking to sell your home in 2 months or 6 months or the same year, right? So I want to share with you some of that, and I put together a list here. So, okay. The condition of the basement, which we're gonna dive into this stuff here in terms of what you should do, what you shouldn't do. Now, the condition of the basement is huge, right? You want to make sure that it's in good condition. You know, no watermarks, no water stained drop ceiling panels, which you see that a lot. It's just change out the ceiling tile, right? Although if you've had water in the basement, you have to disclose it if you're selling it, but change out the stained ceiling tiles and the stained drywall if that's there. Just clean up stuff and make sure it looks nice, the condition. Now, another thing that you want to consider is you want to make sure that you look at other homes in your neighborhood, and your agent can help you out with this, or yourself, quite honestly. You can go online, or if you're familiar with your area, if finished basements or basements in general are common in your area, meaning you don't live in an area where there's a lot of homes on slabs or a lot of homes on, crawl spaces, things like that, then great. For example, let me share with you, your average subdivision in, let's say, Macomb Township, almost every home has a basement, unless it's an older home, in specific pockets. But most of the homes have basements. And so a finished basement done right will increase interest and will increase your home value. So that's one thing that you want to make sure about is you don't ever want to over upgrade a home and be the most expensive home in the neighborhood. That's just not a great idea. So now let's talk about rooms and what the basement can be used for. So I like to think that if you're gonna redo a basement, if you're gonna finish a basement, I should say, you want to make sure that it's functional, right? Sometimes people want a bedroom or two in the basement. Sometimes people want a bar. Sometimes people want a playroom, a game room, things like that. An area for a pool table, right? Which could also be the game room. I was actually thinking about video games for some reason, but yeah. You want to have a functional space where people can entertain, right? Maybe a lot of cupboards and counter space where you can put crock pots for parties, whatever the case may be. I'm kind of diving into it deep here, but you want to make sure that it's a functional basement so that somebody coming in, a potential buyer comes in and they're like, wow, you know what? We can host family parties here. We can host little Johnny's birthday party here, right? Things like that. So you want to be thinking about that. Oh, and I almost forgot the gym room. So you can have a gym room, right? So think about the value of the living area in the basement, and obviously storage. So I want to talk about this too. I put this on here. You want to make sure that you are also familiar with the types of basements and how you should actually finish it that way. So there's typically three main types of basements, right? You have the walkout basements, you have the standard lot basements, which is common, and you have the garden level lot basements. So most of the time, especially in a typical subdivision, you're going to see just a regular standard lot basement, okay? But sometimes you can add in an egress, which is the little ladder window and a ladder that goes out to the main ground area. Sometimes you can add a bedroom and actually increase your value that way, right? If you have a bedroom that is functional and also classified as an extra bedroom per the city, that can increase your value too. So, ultimately, you just want to make sure that you are aware of the living space, the type of basement you have, and is it going to be functional for a home buyer? Because a potential home buyer coming in, if they're looking at a house down the street and they're looking at yours and yours has a finished basement, if it's laid out right, if it was finished right and professional, I might add, right? No shoddy handyman work, right? Nice and neat. Chances are they're going to go towards your house because it's a huge benefit to have a basement finished. So I want to dive into the ROI or return on investment on a basement. And there's no hard number. It just depends on area and if it's common or if it's expected. You might be in an area where you have a bunch of homes that have finished basements and it's just expected, right? So if your basement's not finished and somebody else down the street has their house for sale similar to yours, right, which could happen, and their basement's finished and looking all nice, unless it's priced way out of whack, chances are they're going to levitate towards that house. So before I dive into ROI here, I just want to state that a basement should not feel damp, it should not feel moldy, it should not stink. It should feel as if you're on a regular floor in your house. And there's ways to do that, okay? Seek professionals for that advice, but just make sure that your basement does not feel like a basement. It feels like another floor of your house, okay? So, and by the way too, depending on your price bracket, right, where your house is at, you don't want to go with completely cheap carpet and cheap, fixtures and all that. You want to spend a little bit of money there if you're expecting to get a lot back. So, but the average return on investment for a finished basement is about 2/3 to 3/4 of the cost to remodel the basement. So, could it be worth it? Yes. Now, I want to let you know the average cost of a modest basement renovation, okay? And I think you're going to be shocked by this, or maybe not. Maybe you know how this works. But the average cost for a modest renovation of a basement is about $70,000 to $75,000, okay? That's huge. And that's builder grade. That's, modest. That's not high end. So that's pretty amazing there. So that's why a finished basement, if done right, can oftentimes appeal to more home buyers. I want to share with you something else too. So, okay, another one here is too. Now, how does an appraiser, right? How does an appraiser determine the value of the Renovate basement? How does an appraiser come out and look at your basement and say, wow, how can I determine the value? Well, a couple things here that I have. Standard rule of thumb is counting basements above ground in the official assessment. This means that a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home with 2 more bedrooms in the basement is listed as 3 plus 2 bathrooms. I'm sorry, bedrooms. But it's a 2-bath property in the MLS, okay? So finishing a space and just tossing in a bed doesn't automatically make it a bedroom, okay? From my experience, I believe that, especially in my local townships, that a bedroom should have 2 ways out. Hence, if you make a bedroom that has 1 door and then an egress in the wall, in case there's a fire, I can get out. Or vice versa, something where maybe the basement stairs counts as one, and contact your local township about that just to make sure before you do any work in a basement. But you can't just square off a room, right? Add the walls and add a door and throw a bed in there and say, well, okay, can't do that, right? It's not an actual bedroom. It might be a bedroom to you, but trying to list it on the MLS that way is not the right thing to do. So, and a competent agent will catch that right away. Okay, so a basement should always, this is actually a side note too, a basement should always follow local code. There are so many basements that even I've seen, and I'm not a code expert, but I can tell you that so many basements look like, the owner was an average handyman and just kind of put crap together, for lack of better words, and that's not the way to go. You want to make sure that you have it to code, get your permits, make sure it's nice and good and safe. So now, a finished basement, there are some tips. You gotta have permits, right? I want to actually dive down to here. Now, somebody was asking me, actually last week, we were talking about basements because they're thinking about listing their house and they're not sure if they should finish the basement before they list. And my thought is, don't finish a basement just to help you get more to sell it. And I know that sounds weird, right? Because, okay, I'm telling you that basements do increase value. But here's the thing is, you're going to spend a lot of money finishing a basement, especially if you have it done right. The time alone, it takes a long time to finish a basement, unless you hire somebody who comes out with like six people and just knocks it out in 2 weeks. That's rare. That's those shell basements, right? They just put up walls. Don't ever just finish a basement when you're thinking about selling, because it's just, it may increase your value a little bit, but if you're selling shortly after you finish it, then you're not going to get it back. If you might sell your house in 3 to 5 years or 5 to 10 years, whatever, absolutely get your basement done. Make sure it's done right. Watch this video from the beginning, my tips and all that. Hire a professional, okay, or somebody who can do the items that you're not good at, like electrical and plumbing and all that stuff. And make sure that you actually enjoy the space. You want to be able to enjoy the finished basement before you sell. So in a nutshell, give you guys a lot of information here, but in a nutshell, you just want to make sure that you know that if you have a basement and it's finished the right way with, modest renovations, modest lighting, right? Not El Cheapo stuff, but modest things, right? Then you will potentially increase your value. But one major factor as a realtor is that I'm sharing with you is that you want to make sure too that the market is allowed. You don't want to over update or over finish your house in a market that is favoring the buyers, right? Although a finished basement would definitely help you stand out, right, amongst your competition. But always make sure that you're not spending too much, because in a crazy market where it benefits the sellers, then yeah, don't overspend on your house to get it to sell for more, because it'll probably do that anyway in a seller's market. So that's just my little side note there. I like to do that in my videos. So whether you're watching this on YouTube, Facebook, all that, please share this video with others. Those of you who have been sharing these videos, I really appreciate that. I take that to heart. That's awesome, because in this episode and all my other videos that I share online, it's about creating value. It's about giving you information without all the spam and garbage, right? People don't want spam. They don't want garbage. They want questions answered, and that's what this show is about. It's all real estate and home maintenance, things like that. So I really appreciate you guys here. Connect with me on social media. Be sure to follow me on all that fun stuff. I'm primarily on Facebook and YouTube. I do a little bit of Twitter, but I'll put the icons here. And if you have not gone on Amazon or on my website, it's allabouttherealestate.com, pick up my new book, Think Like a Realtor, a little guide about buying and selling residential real estate through the eyes of a realtor. In this book, I share, it's about 50% real world situations, obviously confidential names and cities, but real world situations that I've been in that can save you thousands of dollars, okay, in real estate. And also some tips and advice. That's the other half of the book, and it's a quick little read here, but it's available on Amazon. And if you want a signed copy, it's on my website, solvealttherealestate.com. Also, I just launched last Saturday, I believe, the ebook version, which is actually really cool. That's exclusive to Amazon. That is an ebook download where you can also pick that up for actually less money if you purchase the print book. So we have a special going on there. Be sure to go on Amazon and just do a search for Think Like a Realtor. I also will have the link in the comments below. But I really appreciate it, guys. Appreciate you guys watching. Be sure to subscribe, like, share this, and share your comments about finished basements. If you were out looking for houses, did that sway you? Did a finished basement attract you to a particular home? Share that. Did it not? Did you see a basement that was dingy and nasty? So definitely share your comments below. I'm Jason Gelios, Michigan Realtor. Thank you.